said Jenny to Semaran. It was one of those mornings where I felt fresh. But there was an underlying sense of anticipation. I had been planning this trip for weeks, an escape from the Yuchagwal routine to explore Semaran, a city with rich history, delicious food, and an undeniable charm. The idea of leaving behind the hustle and bustle of my everyday life and heading toward a new destination excited me. But little did I know that the journey itself would become an experience of its own, filled with surprises, unexpected delays, and moments of quiet reflection. The journey began early in the morning when I set out from my home. The plan was to catch a bus that would take me directly to Semaran. About a 6-hour trip, I had packed light, just a small backpack with the essentials: a water bottle, a book, snacks, and my phone. The bus station was bustling with people, all seemingly with their own destinations, but there was something about this morning that felt different. I could sense a slight unease, as though something was going to happen on the street that I hadn't anticipated. I boarded the bus, found my seat by the window, and settled in. The engine started, and we slowly pulled away from the station, heading toward the freeway. For the first hour, everything was smooth sailing. The landscape outside was mostly green fields, occasional farms, and the occasional village with its greenhouses and busy markets. The sun was still low, casting a soft, golden hue over everything. I pulled out my book, planning to read and pass the time. But as we got further along, I began to notice something strange. The road, which should have been smooth and clear, was filled with traffic jams. The bus would crawl forward, then stop, and then crawl again. The smooth rhythm of the ride was constantly interrupted by the sound of honking horns, engine revving, and the occasional exasperated sigh from a fellow passenger. The unexpected delay at fast. I thought the delay was just a minor inconvenience. Something that happens when you're traveling on the road, but after several hours, I began to realize that the traffic wasn't going anywhere. We were stuck in a long line of vehicles that seemed to stretch endlessly into the horizon. There was no sign of movement. The driver periodically announced that we should remain calm, but the rest of the passengers were clearly growing restless. I leaned back in my seat, staring out the window at the line of cars and trucks that stretched far beyond my line of sight. The sun was now high in the sky, and I began to grow warmer. But there was no relief in sight. The thought of how much time was slipping away made me anxious. Was I going to be stuck here forever? It was then that I realized something important. This was part of the journey. The delay, though frustrating, was an opportunity to slow down. I had been so caught up in the idea of reaching Semaran quickly that the world outside the bus was asking me to pause, to notice the little things I had overlooked in my rush to get somewhere. The farmers working in the fields, the children playing by the side of the road, the sound of birds singing in the trees. These were the details I would have missed if the bus had been moving at its usual pace. A peaceful pause after what felt like chaos. The traffic finally began to move, albeit slowly. But in that period of delay, something inside me shifted. I began to feel a sense of peace, a quiet realization that life didn't have to be about rushing from one destination to the next. Sometimes, the journey itself had something to teach you if only you stopped long enough to notice. By the time we crossed the city limits of Semaran, the sun had begun to set. The sky was painted in shades of pink, orange, and purple, casting a warm glow over the city. The sight of the skyline in the distance made my heart race with excitement. I was finally arriving at my destination, but it had been the unexpected moments alone, the way that made the journey worthwhile. Exploring Semaran, on the step of the bus, I was greeted by the warm, humid air of Semaran. The city felt alive, and I immediately noticed a distinct blend of old and new architecture. Semaran, with its colonial buildings, narrow alleys, and colourful markets, had a charm that was hard to ignore. The first place I visited was El Aguancewo, a historic building that used to be the headquarters of the Dutch East Indies Railway Company. The structure was massive, with its iconic twin towers and arched windows. Walking through the building felt like stepping back in time. The dusty halls and large rooms, many of which had been preserved for history's sake, seemed to echo with stories of a bygone era. I couldn't help but imagine what life must have been like here in its heyday. As I wandered around, I stumbled upon a small cafe nestled between two old buildings. The smell of freshly brewed coffee and baked goods wafted through the air, tempting me to stop for a break. I ordered a traditional Scoopy Semaran, a cold coffee drink, sat by a window, and watched the city unfold before me. The streets were full of people hustling and bustling, some on motorbikes, others walking with baskets of fruit or bags of spices. The mix of sounds, the honking of horns, the chatter of vendors, The distant Trambalava train created a soundtrack that was uniquely Semaran. The night begins as night fell. It took a walk along the famous Simongan Road, known for its street food stalls and vibrant night market. The smells of fried snacks, grilled meats, and sweet treats filled the air. The neon lights from the shops and food carts cast colorful reflections on the wet pavement, adding to the magic of the evening. Indulged in some lumpia Semaran, a spring roll filled with savory fillings, and Yuchagwal, fried tofu served with a spicy peanut sauce. Each bite was a best of flavor. And he marveled at how the food here had so much character, just like the city itself. By the time I returned to my hotel, the city felt like an old friend, welcoming me with open arms. Celia's frustration with the long, slow bus ride had faded into the background, replaced by a sense of appreciation for everything he had experienced along the way, even the delay. Though inconvenient at the time, had given me a chance to slow down and truly absorb the journey. The lesson learned as I lay in bed that night, reflecting on the day. I realized that sometimes the journey to a place is just as important as the destination itself. The delays, the unexpected stops, and the quiet moments along the way already layers to the experience. It wasn't just about arriving at Semaran, it was about everything that happened before I got there, in a well that often pushes us to try and get things done as quickly as possible. This trip had reminded me of the beauty of taking your time, whether you ran a long bus ride, walking through the streets of a new city, or simply waiting for something to happen. The moments in between that truly shape the journey. Conclusion: the journey is the destination. The trip to Semaran may not have been the most exciting at every moment, but it was full of small, meaningful experiences that I wouldn't have had if I had been rushing to get there. Semaran itself was a city that embodied the spirit of both the past and the present, and the journey to get there mirrored that same balance. Sometimes we focus so much on where we're going that we forget to enjoy how we get there. The journey isn't always perfect, but it is the bumps along the way, the delays, the detours, the unexpected moments that make the destination all the more worthwhile. Semoga serita inimemba wakamu merasa seolada laikut dalam perjalanan ke Semaran, merasakan wan sa perjalanan yantek selalumulus. Namun penu dengan magna. Tanya chat GPT anda bilan, lebih banyak chat GPT bilan, tentu. Berikuta dalalan hutan. Serita tentang perjalanan menuju Semaran, yan lebih panjang dan mendalam, dengan lebih banyak detail mengenai perjalanan dan pengalaman di sepanjang jalan. The journey to Semaran extended. I had been anticipating this trip for weeks, and it was finally time. My bags were packed, my phone was charged, and I had all the essential snacks, water, a good book, and even a playlist of soothing music to accompany me along the way. My destination, Semaran, a city I had heard so much about but never quite explored in full. The idea of wandering through the streets, tasting local delicacies, and experiencing a part of Indonesia's rich culture felt invigorating. What I didn't realize at that time was that the journey itself would provide its own unique setables and scent stories. The morning began with an early wake-up call. I grabbed my backpack and left the house before das it had fully set. The air was cool, and the streets were relatively quiet, just the occasional honking horn or a motorcycle passing by. As I arrived at the bus station, I could feel the energy shifting from the calm of the early morning to the bustling chaos of the station. Passengers were already arriving in droves, some anxious to find their seats, others just preparing for the long road ahead. I boarded the bus, found my seat by the window, and settled in. It was a small comfort to know that I'd be able to watch the world pass by as I made my way towards Semaran. The hum of the engine and the rhythmic motion of the bus almost immediately